If you're like me and you've bought a bazillion courses and programs and joined masterminds and didn't quite get what you were hoping out of them, then I am here to tell you that it is not your fault. And there is a reason why you were suckered into buying things that weren't quite right for what you needed at the time. You see, the marketing world of online entrepreneurship is 100% saturated with emotional manipulation. And I've taken a bunch of these courses myself from ClickFunnels, from Dan Henry, from Sam Ovens, from Alex Hormozy, from Dan Kennedy, all of the big names, Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, like I've taken their courses, and all of them are based on a system of emotional pressure, high pressure sales tactics. And so when people that are wanting to be online entrepreneurs take these courses, then they learn this is how you sell. And so most everyone selling a course is using the same tactics because this is what they've been taught. This is what they see other people doing. And it's human nature just to kind of do what you see other people doing. But I personally feel very misaligned with that approach, and I think probably you do too. So when we, highly sensitive, emotional, empathetic people, are considering buying a course, it's not that we don't think about it, because we are thinking about it, but we're reacting to the emotional pressure first and foremost. So most of the time, looking back on all of the courses that I have bought, most of the time when I was actually buying it, in the act of buying it, it was because I felt a bunch of emotional pressure to do so. And when someone's pressuring me, I want out of the pressure. And especially in a live pitch or a webinar or something where you have like a time frame, like you have to buy by the end of this presentation, then the emotional pressure is building, 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 and I want out of the emotional pressure. And so the only way presented to get out of the emotional pressure is to buy. And so most of the time, I think when I bought something, it was because I was feeling this emotional pressure building up and I wanted out. So I bought it to get away from the emotional pressure. There was only one course that I can think of that I actually had time to research, sleep on it, really calculate whether I could afford buying it. And that was a year-long program to become a certified health coach. And I think that program was so much different in the buying experience was because it was so different in the selling experience. So I think I did get on a call with a salesperson, but it was more about seeing whether the program really was a right fit for me and whether I was ready to be a student of their course. It was more academic than it was marketing course because it was focused on certifying you as a health coach. So that course was probably the best course buying experience that I had. And then the worst course buying experience, which I just made a video about it the other day. The worst one was a year ago when I bought Alex Hormozy's $6,000 playbooks offer because it was a live launch and it was hours of emotional pressure, buy the thing, donate the books, blah, blah, blah. And so I completely overrode all of the red flags that I was seeing in order to get out of that emotional pressure, when the answer, spoiler alert, the answer was to turn off the live launch and or go do something else. So there is a second option to get out of buying something. If you're feeling pressure, the answer is turn off the broadcast. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to leave. Now, if you're really thinking, what if this is a legitimate thing that I might actually need, and you want to actually think through whether it's the right choice for you right now, I have created a decision-making matrix to help bring you down out of the emotions and the emotional pressure and concretely identify whether buying this offer is the best decision for you right now. Okay, so we're gonna go over the decision-making matrix right now, and this is available for free in my resource library, so you can download it and fill it out yourself every time you're considering buying anything. So the goal of this is to help you step outside of the emotional pressure. So that way you could push them away for a second and think through it yourself and take an objective look at the actual offer itself in order to decide whether it's really the best decision for you right now. So when you're thinking about or struggling to decide whether you should buy a course, a coaching package, a mastermind, especially high ticket things, this is a really good resource to use to force some objectivity onto it, so that way it can't keep emotionally pressuring you. Okay, so there's several different sections. We're going to go through a fly through right now. We've got some foundational questions that go over like what exactly it is that you're working with in your business, so that way you can identify what you need first. Then you go through a clarity exercise about, especially if you just have this vague, uneasy feeling of what am I worried about, this will help you pinpoint what it is that you're actually concerned about. And then the decision-making matrix is for evaluating the offer itself. Then we do an emotional check-in, because your emotions are a pretty big indicator of whether or not something is right for you. And then we actually give it a final score of red flags versus green flags with a little breakdown of what that means. So let's go through this. I'm going to kind of touch on each one, and you're welcome to use this video to go through the matrix if you're currently considering an offer, or use this as a reference in the future if you come across an offer. So the first thing to consider is, do you actually have a problem that needs solving, or do you just feel a general uneasiness about things, how things are going? So a lot of times we feel like something isn't quite working, or we have a goal and we're not meeting it and we don't know why. And so marketing is specifically designed to pretend like they have the solution for your problem. So they're specifically targeting people who aren't sure what they need. They just feel uneasy about something, and then this is presented as the solution to your feeling bad about yourself. They're specifically targeting you in this state, which is one of the reasons why the emotional pressure works so well. So the first thing to do is sit down and actually think through, do I have an actual concrete problem in my business that I need a solution for, or do I just feel generally uneasy? If you feel generally uneasy, that is a huge red flag, because you don't actually know what you need yet. And that's what the clarity exercise is for, to help you figure out what actually you're feeling uneasy about and whether that's a concrete problem that you can buy a solution for. So if you just feel scared and you can't pinpoint an exact reason, or you realize you're avoiding doing something you already know how to do because it's scary, or you don't know like step by step, if this is an executive dysfunction thing where you can't see the steps to accomplish the thing, you don't need to buy a solution for that, because you already know what to do. You just need to maybe do a body doubling session with someone, or write down the steps, or backwards plan, or something to help you manage your executive dysfunction. Buying another course is not going to help you manage that. So that would be a huge red flag. And then if you do have a concrete problem and you can articulate it in exact language, that's a green flag that you might have something worth buying a solution for. So if you're not, like, for example, I'm not making money because I'm not converting clients, because I'm not getting leads, because no one knows I exist, because I never do any marketing. So that's a concrete problem that you can then find a solution for. So what kind of problem is this now? Is this a value creation problem where you're trying to figure out what solution you're providing to your audience, what product or service, how you're going to package that solution? Whether this is a finance or admin problem, like you're thinking about hiring someone, or you're trying to figure out what accounting software to use. If you're trying to think through SOPs and processes and operations for fulfilling your product or your service, you're trying to do sales and marketing, which is one of the biggest, I think this is the biggest niche that people sell courses about, is sales and marketing. I would say probably if you're considering an offer, it has to do with sales and marketing, because I've seen very few standalone offers that cover these other three areas. And then ongoing maintenance is the day-to-day SOPs, your routines, your schedules. This is more what I talk about, actually, because it has to do with balance and routines that help you go from your business to your life and see it as a holistic whole. But if you want more information about this, this is a resource that I wrote about the permaculture solution to running a business. Okay, so you've identified the problem up here. Now you're going to diagnose the problem and list all the possible solutions. So if the problem from the example given is that I never do any marketing, some possible solutions could be to figure out what internal beliefs are preventing me from thinking I'm capable, or maybe I believe that marketing isn't going to work, period, or maybe I haven't tested all of the marketing strategies, or I've only ever done something that I hate, and so if I try a different kind of marketing, then I'll like it better. Maybe I need to practice a marketing skill, like copywriting, or making videos and editing videos, or being better on camera. You can also research best marketing strategies for people with your specific blend of personality So maybe I research other entrepreneurs who are INFJs and have autism and ADHD and are a woman, and, like kind of my demographic, find other strategies that people like me have used successfully. So think through a bunch of different solutions. This is just blue sky brainstorming, all the possible things that could work to help you fix your problem. And then you're going to look at what outcome are you hoping to achieve from solving the problem. So with the marketing thing, you're hoping for more clients. So more clients is a kind of a red flag. If it's a vague answer, then we need to pinpoint what exactly it is that we're looking to improve. If it's very specific, like I want 2 more clients by the end of the year, that's more specific. If you already have data, so you want to increase your sales conversions by X% because you already know what your current percentage is and you want to bump it up a little bit, that's a very specific green flag answer. If you need to create an asset for your business, like a sales funnel, an email nurture sequence, a webinar, an automated webinar, those kind of things are tools and tactics that you might need to learn a skill in order to do. And there are 5 bajillion courses about how to do those things. So there's plenty of options if you did want to buy a solution for that. But figure out what outcome you're wanting from solving this problem. Then we're going to look at which of the solutions that you identified above would best solve that problem and get that outcome that you're looking for. And the best solutions are ones that are effective, where you actually believe that they're going to get that result. They're the least invasive, which means they're not going to have you overhaul your entire business in order to implement it. It's like low-hanging fruit, they call it. The easiest thing to implement, and most importantly, stick-to-itable. Because you're the operator, you're the one who's going to have to actually do the thing. So whatever solution you pick should be something that you can and will actually do on the day-to-day for the long term, however long it is that you're focusing on solving this problem. So you're going to go back to this list of all the possible solutions, and then you're going to rank them by the ones that meet all 3 in order. It's a red flag if you didn't identify any of the solutions that meet all 3 criteria, and you should probably go do some more research on available solutions that are out there and or design your own custom solution. So if none of these solutions, especially the offer that you're considering buying, if none of that actually solved your problem, definitely don't buy the thing and don't spend money to solve the problem. This is more of a, we need to do more research, see what's out there stage. And I have my YouTube channel, I have articles on my blog, and I have the free resource library that might help depending on what your problem is. Check it out and see if I have resources on that thing. And if you can't find anything, reach out to me because I'd be happy to make something for you. It's a green flag if you have 2 to 3 solutions that meet all the criteria, in which case you can skip the clarity exercise because you're already very clear and you can go right to the decision-making matrix. So the clarity exercise is here if all of this is kind of fuzzy and you don't feel confident about your answers, you don't know if you're doing it right, this is just like, I don't even know what I'm doing, definitely go through the clarity exercise. And this is just, it's just being quiet with yourself for a while. 10 to 20 minutes is plenty of time. You can either do a stream of consciousness meditation where you just sit and let your thoughts flow and you're just watching like where the thought patterns are going. You can do an EFT tapping session, or you can do a journal, a stream of consciousness journal, and just write out as you're thinking about it. But you're trying to figure out what exactly it is that you're worried about, or what exactly it is that you're scared of, or why you're feeling so much pressure to change something, what you're stuck about, what you need. Because especially if you can't answer this foundational question of what exactly is going on, we need to think through what exactly is going on before we do anything to fix it. So you're going to find a quiet place to sit, ask yourself the question, and just kind of see what comes up. And don't control the narrative. Don't think through, here's what I think it is, because your subconscious will answer the question for you, especially if you've done any kind of EMDR. That's what EFT will do. If you've already done EMDR consistently, your subconscious will be better at just bringing it out. If you've never done that before, what you can do is tap on your forehead, your temples, your cheeks, under your nose, under your lips, and your chest, and just go back and forth around that. This is like a mini tap sequence, but this activates both hemispheres of your brain and it will help you bring out that knowledge faster. So you're just going to ask the question and then see what your brain comes up with. And probably at first you're going to be like, what the heck am I thinking about? This is off the wall. This doesn't count. It doesn't have anything to do with it. But brains have a way of connecting stuff that doesn't have anything to do with each other. So probably whatever comes up is what's going on because you've asked this question. So be aware of what comes up and then write it down. If you're not already doing a journaling stream of consciousness, stop and write it down, and then close your eyes and ask your body this question. So at least for me, whenever I do something like this, I'm usually asking like my brain and the universe. So my thought process is going upwards and I'm thinking like I'm asking the universe, the ether, the Holy Spirit, I'm asking for information to come in. But more often than not, and this is something that I'm learning currently, like my actual physical body knows the answer as well. So I almost always start with asking upwards first, and that is usually very good information. And then when you ask your body, you just think down into your heart or your core, however you like to think about it, and you just say, okay, body, what's going on? Or what am I scared of? Or what do I need? Or what do you want? Sometimes is a good question to ask. And the body already knows the answer. The mind is trying to figure out why these things are happening and what to do about them and what should we do about them. And brains have so many inputs from other people and expectations and religious dogmas and, childhood traumas and all of that stuff is happening in our brains. But the body typically already knows, and the answer will be very clear and very concise. We need this. And so when you've already asked your brain, it gives the brain something to do, and then you can ask your body and the body will know. So I've given you some sections here where you can mind dump everything that comes up, and then you can organize them by theme or by topic or by chronological order, however you want to organize them, so you can start to see the patterns. And then you're going to analyze and see what trends is this coming up and what is that pointing you towards. So you might be lacking the understanding of the strategy behind your goal. You might know what you want, but not how to get there. You might be lacking a specific skill or technique. So you might know where you might know how to do it, but not how to do it. You might know the strategy, but not the specific steps of the skill. So for me, saying that I want to make YouTube videos is all well and good. I theoretically know how to make YouTube videos, but because of executive dysfunction, because I didn't know, I sit down, I push record, I set up my microphone, I didn't have those many steps in my head. And so I was avoiding making videos because I didn't have the specific skill in my head. So that was stopping me for a long time. So you might need to do something like that. Either learn the skill or sit down and identify the skill, or do a practice run where you try it out and you write down each step that you do as you do it. So that way later when you come back to do it again, you already have a checklist, an SOP to follow. Or maybe you know what to do and you know how to do it, but you're scared to do it and you don't have a really good reason to do it and nobody's going to check if you're doing it. And so if you're the kind of person who prefers some kind of social accountability, you can probably get it through a coach or a mentor, which are two different things, or a community. A mastermind usually is not the best place for social accountability in my experience. Social accountability tends to be better if it's on a one-to-one person basis or a very small egalitarian group where everyone is on the same level and nobody's in charge and nobody's getting paid to run the group. So if you need social accountability, you can get it for free. You don't have to buy it. If you do want to buy it, you can. Obviously, it's your business, but you're probably not going to need another how-to sort of course. If you're a highly autonomous, self-directed type, it's helpful to think about how doing this aligns with who you are and who you want to be, and see it more as an identity thing. And sometimes it helps to imagine that there's someone who doesn't think you can, and you're going to show them that you can. So take that for what you want. So if you've gone through the clarity exercise and now you understand what your problem really is, and you still have a concrete problem that needs a concrete solution, now we can go through the decision-making matrix and consider the actual offer itself. So all of this other stuff was considering what's going on with you, your business, what problem you're facing, what solution you need. Now we're going to consider this thing that someone's trying to get you to buy to see whether that matches what you need. So what offer are you considering right now? We're just going to basic answer. What is it? You want to describe what it is and the solution that it is offering. So is it a product? Is it a coaching program? Is it tutorial videos plus coaching plus a community plus regular check-ins? Is it a mastermind? Is it a product bundle? Is it a subscription to a product? Is it a membership? And then what solutions is it offering? If you can't explain it, you're not sure what problem they're solving, you're not sure what solutions they're offering, especially if a lot of their marketing copy is very vague, then that's a red flag. And also, if the solutions are clear, but they're not the ones that you need right now, that's also a red flag. And it's a green flag if you can clearly explain what it is, what they're offering, and the solution that they're offering directly maps to your list of best solutions that you made earlier. And then we're going to consider the other solutions. Maybe one of the other things that you identified is a better solution than this thing that you're considering paying for. So you want to list out the other solutions that you identified and rate them on a scale from 1 to 10 as far as how confident you are that it will actually help you get the outcome that you're looking for. If several or all of the other solutions rank higher in confidence than this thing you're considering buying, that's a red flag. And if the offer that you're considering buying is one of the top choices, then that's a green flag. And then you want to consider, do you trust the person or company offering this thing? And here are some ways to know whether you do or not, because especially those of us susceptible to emotional pressure tend to really get sucked into this idea of giving someone the benefit of the doubt and or acting on faith. So if you are thinking that you don't know for sure, but you're going to choose to trust them, or that you're deciding to act on faith, or especially if they have said, but if you're bringing up in your own mind that you're going to be the kind of client you want, humongous red flag that you do not trust them. If you're physically feeling constricted, that's a huge red flag. If you're consciously objecting to certain things and overriding them, humongous red flag. And if you've never heard of this person or company before, or if you've heard bad things, or something just feels a little sketchy, that's red flag. This is how you know if you really do trust them, which would be a green flag. Now, here's an interesting thing, which I have noticed this over multiple instances of buying courses I didn't need. It is a red flag if the bonuses sound better than the core offer. So let's say you know what your problem is, you know what solution you need. This thing is ostensibly saying that they're going to provide that solution, but you're only seeing the solution show up in what they're throwing in as a bonus. And the core offer itself is something either you know you already don't need, or it doesn't sound that applicable or that interesting. If the bonuses are better than the core offer, that's a red flag, because that means the seller might not truly understand how to solve the problem that they're claiming to solve. And it's probably an amalgamation of a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't really apply to you. So if there's a bonus, which is usually like an individual mini product, if that bonus is genuinely a good solution for your problem, try to see if you can buy just the bonus. If you contact them and say, hey, I have done my research and I know for a fact that I don't need this whole thing, but I do want to buy this one piece of it from you, people who actually are into helping people would be happy to work with you and sell you just the thing that you need. If you ask them that and then they're like, yeah, no, you have to do it our way and buy the whole thing and put pressure on you to put the work in and trust yourself and blah, blah, blah. Another red flag. But it's a green flag if the core offer is the solution to your problem. And then the bonuses either provide a shortcut to the solution or they give you the tools and templates for the solution. That would be a green flag. Now, the pièce de résistance, can you afford it? This is another big issue with online courses because I think there's multiple factors, but people say, especially Alex Ramosi, says that everybody should raise their prices. And then there's this like pseudo reality in entrepreneurial circles that B2B people will buy and pay for stuff that's way more expensive than what the normal customer would buy. So it's highly likely that this thing is overpriced, whatever it is. And maybe you can negotiate it down. Most of us aren't going to be comfortable with that. I know I wouldn't really be comfortable contacting someone and saying, hey, I like your thing, but I only want to pay you 50% of what you're asking for. Like, I'm not comfortable negotiating, so I'm not going to tell you to do that. But maybe that's a skill we should both learn. Anyway, so assuming that the price is the price, it's probably too expensive. So we need to figure out whether you can actually afford it. And this is even easier to do if you already have your operating expenses calculated through I call it my can system, where each category is a can, and then the cans tell me what a can do. So this is my can sheet from 2025, last year, when I was buying this $6,000 Hormozy offer. So let's use me as a case study and see whether I could afford it. So this was August of last year that I bought this $6,000 thing. Now, I did not have $6,000 lump sum, so I got a loan from a firm in order to make monthly payments. The monthly payment is $571. And so if we look at this sheet here, this is the gross revenue that I made that month, $1,600. Okay, I just did a little calculation, and $571 is 35% of my gross monthly revenue at that point in time, which is too much. I could tell you based on that alone that that is too much. I can't afford it. But especially when you have it broken down like this, so I divide out my profit percentage. I do a profit first system. Profit percentage comes out, my tax percentage comes out, my owner's comp comes out, and then my operating expenses are what's left. And for August, my operating expenses budget was $597. So $571 is almost 100% of my operating expenses budget for that 1 month. So definitely no, I couldn't afford it. And then, which obviously I didn't know this when I bought it, but that next month after I bought the thing, I lost one of my clients and I lost 51% of my revenue in 1 month. So I went from making on average $1,600 a month to making $900, $900 a month. If you don't have that monthly payment available in your operating budget, so you can pay for all of your regular monthly expenses with your operating budget, and you have extra to cover the monthly payment already in this category, then no, you can't afford it. If the monthly payment would be more than 20% of your operating budget, no, you can't afford it. If you have to reduce your owner's comp, your tax savings, or your profit percentage to make the payments, which I definitely had to do, no, you can't afford it. And if you don't have the down payment already in your business savings, no, you can't afford it. Now, this is assuming that you already have a business finance system set up, which if you don't do, because most people don't do, and that's fair. That's one of the things that I teach is a worry-free money system. So this is based on someone who already has this set up. So as a rule of thumb, for someone who doesn't have this system, these last three are like really big considerations. If you're considering borrowing money or putting it on a credit card, humongous red flag. If you think I can scrape together the down payment and then use what I learned to earn the rest, that's a humongous red flag. And if you lost a client or your sales dropped at all during that payoff period, and any of these things would then become true, that's a red flag. If you already have the down payment or the pay in full amount in business savings, then that's a good sign that you can afford it. And if there's very little emotion around the price, that's also a good sign that you can afford it. People who can't afford things feel anxious. People who can afford things are more considering, is this the best use of my money? And what are the opportunity costs if I spend this much on this thing and then a different, better solution comes up? Like there's a very different emotional approach between whether you can afford something, whether you can't afford something. So use these as the litmus test if you don't already have a worry-free money system set up. And if you want to have a worry-free money system set up, I can help you with that. That'll be in the resource library as well. Okay, another consideration is it now or never? The more pressure there is to buy quickly, the bigger of a red flag it is. If you have to make a decision in 24 hours or lose the opportunity, if they're promising that the price will increase drastically within a short time frame, if you're told this will never happen again, and if it's being framed as an opportunity and not an offer, a product, or a service, it's usually a red flag because it's being presented as this vague portal to another state of being versus a concrete thing that you're buying. That's another red flag. So you want to at least think it over overnight. You want to be able to sleep on it. If you have a couple of days to a week to think about it, that's even better, especially if whatever it is available evergreen, so you can buy it whenever you are ready. Or if it's a rolling cohort basis and you know it's going to come back around in 2 months, 3 months, next year, that's another thing. And if it's framed as a concrete thing that you're purchasing versus this magical portal, then that's also a good sign because it means they're not too big for their britches. Another consideration is, will it be worth it if it doesn't work? So this is kind of a tricky thing to figure out sometimes because worth it is a vague term and also doesn't work needs very specific definitions. Because you've just already figured out what your actual problem is, what solution you actually need, and what outcome you actually want, doesn't work in this case would be going through this offer doesn't help you get that outcome. That means it didn't work. And so you have to decide, are there other things in this opportunity that I'm considering that would be worth it if it doesn't get that outcome? So consider what worth it means and what doesn't work means, and then consider whether you're counting on the promised results to make ends meet, especially anything that is framed as this person made this thing and they made $20,000 in a week or however much money in a very short period of time. And you're thinking, oh, I need that much money in that short period of time. Therefore, I will do this thing and get that much money in that short period of time. It almost guaranteed will not. I say almost because there's still like a 0.99% chance that it might, but almost guaranteed that it's not. Whoever actually made that amount of money in that short time frame had a bunch of other factors that they brought into it that this course offer, whatever it is, isn't accounting for. So don't count on their results. So you don't want to be counting on these promised results to make ends meet. You need to be able to feed yourself and your family, keep the lights on without this thing. And if you're pinning all of your hopes on this thing, that's also a red flag, because that means you're in a desperate situation and you need something that you know will work for sure, not something that you're hoping will work. If you're tying your identity and your self-worth into making it work, if you're thinking, oh, I will be the perfect student and I will do all of the things and I will show up to all of the calls and, I will make it work. You can't make stuff like this work. This is why Avocado Entrepreneur is based on the principles of growing trees. It will grow if you give it time, but making it grow isn't going to happen. It has to take time. It has to have the resources at the right time in order for it to grow. You can't make it grow faster than it's intended to grow. And if you're tying your identity and self-worth into making something happen supernaturally fast, you're probably just setting yourself up for disappointment in yourself when that was an unreasonable expectation to have of yourself in the first place. If you're going to lose other resources as a direct result of not achieving the desired outcome, i.e. money, so let's say you're trying to run ads in order to get more clients. If you're going to end up with no clients and no money, probably not worth it if it doesn't work. And if you will have lost significant time going through the materials, attending the calls, implementing the offer itself, if you could have used that time on other more effective things, and this is going to be sucking all of your time and energy and focus, and it doesn't work, is it really worth it? So all of those things are red flags. But if you can clearly see how this is a skill or a tactic that you already know down the line you're going to need to know how to do, learning ahead of time, you have the money, you can totally afford it. There's no pressure on it to work right away. This is something that you have time to practice. You're not going to need it right now to go. If you're going to be able to use this later, that's a green flag. You don't need it to work right away. That's a green flag. If you can identify one specific outcome that hopefully maps to one of these solutions that you identified earlier, that would be worth it. Then that's a green flag. And if you feel pretty confident, highly confident, that you can achieve the outcome you're looking for by implementing this offer specifically, as opposed to any of the other solutions that you identified, or just figuring it out yourself. If you're pretty confident that you need to implement this thing in order to achieve that outcome, then that's a green flag. If you're like, I could probably figure this out myself and or any of these other solutions would get it just as well, don't buy an expensive thing. Probably there's YouTube videos that will show you how to do it. So once you've gone through all of that, you're going to tally up the red and green flags. So you can keep track on a scratch pad or whatever, but there's also a final score down here. So you can go through and add tally marks for each question. Then you want to do this emotional check-in, which is rating yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as intensity of each emotion. Excitement is kind of a neutral emotion. If the energy is focused and cohesive, and you can see the problem, you can see the solution, you can see how you're going to get there, you're excited to go, that's a positive thing. That's a green flag because you're focused and aligned. If you just feel excited and nervous and jittery and chaotic, that's a red flag because you're just charged up, but you don't have any particular way to outlet that energy. And so you're likely to want to grab onto something just to discharge this energy, which is one of the emotional pressure things that causes someone to buy when they don't really need to, because you have all this energy and you need to do something with it. And the only option presented for calming down is buying. So let me present you with a couple options right now. Turn off the live, go do some jumping jacks, go work out, go for a jog, do some push-ups. Like any kind of physical activity will help you discharge all of that energy, and you don't need to buy anything to do that. If you have high clarity from the clarity exercise and from the foundational questions, that's a green flag. If you have high confidence that taking the steps in this offer are going to be able to get you the outcome that you're looking for, that's a green flag. If, however, you have high uncertainty and you're not sure what it is you're doing and what it is they're offering, and you don't even know what it is you're trying to get out of it, and or you know what you want, but you can't see how this is going to get there, that's a red flag, because something that's promising to take you by the hand step by step should be able to articulate very clearly how exactly they're going to do that. If you have a lot of fear or you're feeling a lot of pressure, that is a real big red flag. If you feel like you're being pushed, if you feel like you owe it to someone, if they're insinuating threats about how your life will keep being bad and or you'll lose all this time if you don't get it fixed right now, all of this pressure and implicit negative consequences are red flags. If you feel a lot of alignment and resonance to your long-term goals, so usually when you're considering buying an offer, it's a short-term, very specific solution. So you're picking this one little piece out of the whole puzzle that is your business. You want to think about whether this piece aligns with your long-term goal for yourself and your business and your ethical standpoint. So, for example, I've made it pretty clear that I do not think the high pressure sales is ethical. And therefore, if I was considering buying a course and it's pretty clear to me that they're going to be teaching me high pressure sales, maybe I do need to learn how to do sales better, but I'm not going to buy that course to teach me because it doesn't align with my ethics in how to go about selling. So consider that. If your clarity, confidence, and alignment scores are high and your excitement is focused, that's a green flag. If you feel a lot of fear, pressure, and uncertainty, you have a lot of chaotic energy, then probably that's your answer right there. And you should take some time to understand your own problem and solutions better before you can consider buying something to solve them. And then your final score here is going to be a really clear yes or no answer. More red, don't do it. More green, proceed with wisdom. Obviously, no matrix is going to be a crystal ball that tells you exactly whether this thing is going to work out for you. But if you're feeling pretty confident that you're not a mindless groupie and you're not just doing it because they're telling you to, then that's a good sign. And you're the one calling the shots, which is how this works. You are the expert of your business. Nobody else can tell you what you need better than you can. So listen to yourself and proceed with wisdom. If it's a literal tie, go with your gut. I would say that probably a tie means there's too many red flags, but that's a very broad statement to make when I have no idea what it is that you're considering. So you get to decide. And if it's the right decision for you, I feel like you would know. And if you're not sure whether you know, it probably means it's not the right decision for you. And fear is pressuring you into acting right now. So go do something else, discharge that energy some other way, sleep on it for at least 24 hours, and then come back to this matrix and read through your answers again. And it should be very clear by then which one it is, yes or no. All right. So that is the decision-making matrix, and that is available in my resource library, which has all kinds of workbooks and cheat sheets and checklists in order to sustainify your business and help you grow it and design it ethically and holistically. And we've got resources for all the major areas of business. So I'm adding stuff to this all the time, and everything in here is free. So go ahead and check that out, and I will see you next time.